lot of people want to start something, but they don't research in terms of the information.
Things have to balance to make sense. God has got his plan, and his plans always win. So the biggest lesson of that was just consistency and patience, and obviously having to put our time and effort into it.
Hi everyone, welcome to Tower and Google's podcast. In this podcast series, we're just going to be talking about life and business. So today, I think the first episode, just to kick off, will be like to introduce ourselves, tell our story, where we've come from and where are we in business, and more like a conversational and get to know the audience as well. What do you think, Google?
Sounds good.
Do you want to start or you want me to start?
You can start, Tawo.
Yeah, my name is Tawo Singano. For those who don't know me, I was born in Zimbabwe. I've actually went to a boarding school in Zimbabwe, and both primary and secondary school or high school, I was in boarding schools. So my first time, I think it was grade 3 when I went to boarding school, and I was like 9 years old. And I know, Google, you did the same thing as well.
Yes, I did. We'll get into that shortly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so after boarding school, I moved to the UK, and I was 16 at that time. So I finished my GCSEs, and when I moved to the UK, I took a year out because the term times are different. So in Zimbabwe, you finish school in December, so it's like January to December, that's the term time. Whereas in the UK, the term times are September to August, something like that. So I had to wait a year without going to school. I went into sixth form, and just trying to bring it back, like to say, because this podcast is more about life and business, because we entrepreneurs, and bring it back into what we used to do in boarding schools, which was business related. For me, for example, I used to sell like sweet. I used to sell something. So whether it was be primary school, I was always involved in like selling something. So that's always been like part of my journey, selling. So when I moved to the UK as well, when I went to sixth form, I noticed there was a gap. Like no one was selling sweets at school. So I had to sell I started selling sweets. And yeah, I did sixth form. I did chemistry, biology, maths, so like science subjects, because my goal was always to go into engineering or STEM kind of subjects. And after that, I went to university where I studied aerospace engineering. The reason why I chose aerospace engineering is I wasn't clear which direction I wanted to take in terms of which engineering I wanted to take. But so aerospace was broad, and it allows you, so I know like it's aerospace, but with aerospace, you can be a mechanical engineering and you can do other engineering backgrounds with that. And so, yeah, I chose aerospace engineering and finished that with the first class. During my time at university, I was also involved in multiple things like jobs and doing various things at that, or just to bring like income. People call them side hustle. I used to hustle, used to do all these things.
Any specific examples?
In terms of what side hustles?
Yes.
Yeah, so I used to sell perfumes on eBay. So I used to sell perfumes on eBay. I used to sell cars. So I buy cars from auctions and just put them on a Gumtree, Auto Trader, and just sell them on. So it was like just things to give me low extra income there while I'm still studying and pursuing my degree. Yeah, then I finished that. I finished the aerospace engineering degree, went on to work 9 to 5 as a engineering project manager. So I went to work for Ministry of Defense companies, big engineering corporates and aerospace engineering corporates. But I realized that wasn't enough for me. The 9 to 5 income was good, but it wasn't going to take you to a certain place in life. Or if you ambitious like me and I want more things, I need to actually look for other things to do besides the 9 to 5. Having looked at other things to do, I remember one day I was reading this magazine called the Forbes magazine, and I just noticed all the billionaires in the Forbes magazine had some sort of thing to do with real estate, whether they made their money from other businesses and moved to real estate, or they made their money in real estate. So I just started like having an interest in property. I remember just going to seminars. So I didn't know like what the outcome of this was, what it was going to be. I used to go to the free Saturday seminars at a hotel where you just go in and like at the end of that, obviously there is sales. They want to upsell you to their courses, etc. So for me, I used to go for like the free information just to get the foundation to say, what are they talking about? And that's when it clicked. Property is broad. So property, like for me, I just used to think of it as like just one strategy, or just buying your house and renting it out. But in these seminars, it just opened my mind. No, there are more things than that because property is broad. There's more to property than that. So yeah, fast forward from then, got married to you.
Who's you?
You, Google. Yeah, and I did also introduce you to property. Like I remember you used to live in Birmingham when I used to come visit you.
Yeah.
And I'll say, oh, let's go to a property seminar, all that kind of stuff. That time, it wasn't like taking action. It was just more like knowing what's happening, more for the knowledge sake and all that kind of stuff. So then, yeah, we did that. And so because of the mindset we're in, like to say we need more money to actually start in property, I remember like we started a side hustle, like e-commerce business. So it was like a swimwear business. And yeah, it did kick off a bit. And yes, it did die out because there were some mistakes which we made, etc. And we're not like, in terms of running a business, like a structured business, I don't think I had that knowledge. I was used to like running side hustle, buy a car, sell it, get perfumes, sell them, like all the profit is there. But with these kind of things, it's like when you're dealing with the supply chain suppliers from abroad, size differences, designs, or the market, or like starting the market, advertising. So there was a lot of things which were involved and which I didn't have knowledge on. So yes, that business failed and I was like, oh no, I think property is the only way out. And yeah, so with property then, instead of the free information which I used to consume, because obviously I wasn't taking action with the free information, I revolted into what? I pulled the trigger one day and I said, let me pay for a course and see what happens, like paying for a course. Because like, or there is a saying which says, if you don't pay, you don't pay attention. So
take action.
Yes. So when we paid, I remember like I was now like deep into detail with this. And keeping in mind, I didn't quit my 9 to 5 because I still needed to pay bills. I still needed to run my life because there was no money coming from property. So I did the course, I got the knowledge. The first course which I did was learning like the BRR property model. From there, then I started taking action. We ended up buying our first property in Birmingham, and after that it was a snowball effect, buying the properties, etc. Then later on, probably like maybe after 1 or 2 properties, we introduced into the Airbnb strategy. And so like, okay, cool, there is this method, service accommodation, short-term lets, whatever people want to call it, the Airbnb strategy. I was like, okay, let's find out about it. And same thing as well, we look for the guy or someone, we look for someone who was doing it and who could relate with. And this is when we met Adam. And yeah, we paid for the mentorship and we took action from then. So in a nutshell, like to introduce myself to this podcast, that's been my journey, like my story. And obviously like in this business, I'm with it in the business with Google. So we both founded the company. We both been doing this together from Afrikini, Heavyfield, Afrikini up until now. So we just started like to create this podcast and share our knowledge, insights in both life and business. Because in life and business, it can be challenging. You're having a family and running a family, also running a business, like juggling 2 things. So yeah.
I think it's 3 things, and marriage as well.
Yeah, and yeah, marriage as well. So what about you, Google? Tell me, what's your story? Tell the audience your story.
Hi everyone, as Thomas mentioned, my name is Google. Born in Zimbabwe, went to boarding school from a very young age as well. Spent pretty much most of my junior life in boarding school, which I enjoyed very much, to be fair. Moved to the UK, 6th form. finished that, studied accounting and finance at university. I've always been a numbers girl, basically. I love my numbers. To me, things have to balance to make sense. I guess I love the analytical side of things as well, but I've always been, the accounting girl. I want to do accounting, this and that.
You forgot to mention.
What?
You forgot to mention you used to stalk me when we were in Zim.
Oh, I didn't stalk you. I just but I didn't go out there looking for you.
Like the schools we went to, I went to an all-boys school and she went to an all-girls school. Our schools were like brothers and sister schools in it. They call them sister schools.
Yeah.
So Google used to stalk me when we were in.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
If that makes you sleep at night. But anyway, moving on. Yeah. Got a first class in my degree, and then the job market is really tough out there, so I really struggled to go into accounting as I would have loved, but ended up finding myself in banking and finance roles, which for some reason I enjoyed very much. So I did that 9 to 5. So I guess we always have our own plan, but God has got his plan, and his plans always win. So I still love accounting, but I guess, yeah, I'm just on the other side of accounting, so the finance analytical side of things, which I really enjoy very much.
So with that, because for me it's always both numbers, accounting and finance. So what's the main difference between accounting and finance? Well, what's the main difference?
I think for me it's just accounting's a bit more structured. You just know what you're doing, whereas finance is like an open field. It gets you thinking outside the box. There's different aspects and routes into it.
So where does tax come in? Is tax under accounting or tax falls under the finance bracket? Because I see like other jobs advertised tax manager or finance manager or account manager. So I mean, it is quite different, isn't it?
It's complicated. Well, tax alone is a whole different field or ball game, to be fair.
Like when it comes to that side, even though you went on the finance route, I think like the companies which you work for are like one of the like top what you call
the big four.
Big Four.
Yeah, the big four.
So yeah, which companies in the big four did you work for? So
I worked for KPMG and EY. Yeah, for some reason I never thought business minded, but which is a bit weird saying that, because in sixth form I studied accounting, business and maths. So I don't know why I just never thought I was business minded. So why would I study business if I didn't think? Like I'm saying, God always has plans, but you always have your own other plans, and obviously his plans always win. And then obviously met Tabo, and then we enjoyed traveling, especially in the first few years of our life together. And then with that traveling, came about this African idea, spotted a gap in the market. Okay, we like traveling, so what else can we provide out there to help other people like traveling like us? So we started the African business, which was a swimming business. And obviously I won't go too much into it, which Tabo has gone into, but I guess with that, it was nice at the start, think, oh my gosh, you're going to start this filling the gap in the market with like African print, Southern African to be specific print in this swimming business. But for us, I think the main thing why we didn't succeed in it is on our part, we're not consistent. We say we just wanted, okay, let's do this, it's gonna kick off, but we didn't realize at that point in time how much time and effort we need to put into it and the consistency of it. Hence why we thought, okay, we've tried, but there's like lessons learned.
Yeah, that's very true, because I thought like once the website was up on Shopify, we hired like professional photographers from London, or like the models were like top models, and some of them are still our friends up to now. So we thought once everything is up, this is gonna sell itself. Look, we had no intentions of running ads, which a lot of e-com businesses do. Like they run ads into their shops and stores. So we just thought like, okay, once we put it on Instagram, Facebook, this sells every day. We're posting something.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, honestly.
It was a bit different, because I did perfumes. I remember when I was putting like perfumes on eBay, perfumes on Amazon, those things used to go. So I thought, you know what? But like what we didn't factor in is like, this is our brand, so no one knows it. Yeah. Whereas for perfumes, everyone knows the big perfume brands, they'll buy straight away. because obviously they were cheaper than what they used to sell on the market. And these are like original perfumes. I just found a gap where to get them.
Really interesting to know one day, that gap.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, carry on.
I've lost my train of thought, Tao.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Afro-Kini and I just jumped in there.
Yeah, and so the biggest lesson of that was just consistency and patience, and obviously having to put our time and effort into it for us to make the people out there know our brand. So that was the biggest lesson. So obviously, yeah, we continued with our 9 to 5s, and then Tabo is always being the mastermind. He started in business minded from day one. He's gained interest in property somehow, and he obviously he went to the first few seminars on his own, but eventually thought, you know what, let me just share this idea with my partner and see how we get on. So initially, obviously, I wasn't for the idea in terms of I was a bit scared and nervous, think, oh my gosh, we're gonna try and start something again and we're gonna fail. But he tried to obviously push me and persuade me, like obviously just to try and think positive, look into something new. And then started going to the seminars together and obviously finding out. But always, if you're trying to start something new, it's always nerve-wracking. But I guess we just continued going to this. Then eventually managed to start learning a bit more and eventually going to the paying courses. And bought our first property in Birmingham, which is where I lived, since he lived in a town called Aylesbury outside London, until we moved to Glasgow. And then now here we are. Now, property side of things, obviously we're going to get into this a bit more later, but just as an overview for now in our introductions, is from the property point of view, we found this property side of thing more sustainable in terms of extra income besides our 9 to 5. And my role in that side of the business is managing our properties and more so the interior design side of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's because the way we did. I mean, before going to the property seminars, we thought like we'd just buy properties and rent them out as long-term strategy, like buy to let, like long-term tenants. And so once we had found another gap, like the Airbnb serviced accommodation model, where it's like you rent out the property on a nightly rate, exactly like a hotel. So those properties needed to be at some higher level in terms of the interior designs.
Yeah.
And you forgot to mention that you went for an interior designing course.
It's overwhelming, hey? This first podcast as well. As you can see, starting something is just ain't easy.
So yeah, the reason why I said like, it's because a lot of people want to start something, but they don't like research in terms of the information, in terms of the knowledge, but they just want to jump straight into it. Yes, you can spend hours and hours on YouTube, on the internet digging out, but I just feel like that information is not structured.
Yeah, it's a bit too overwhelming. And also to add on to that, like us, you can, obviously this discussion is more of our experiences and stuff, but also another lesson is people don't like to pay for stuff. So we spend a lot of time on free education and stuff, and it took us forever to get where we are. We're not 100% there yet, but we're definitely better than where we were a couple of years ago, and that changed because we started paying for the right information. So you may go to YouTube, Google, whatever, all these different free sources, but it's going to take you forever to start somewhere. So sometimes it's just taking that big leap of faith and trusting someone who resonates with you, and then just pay for their course or whatever they're offering or whatever that you're trying to do. And then you can learn from them and just, obviously, you're already a step ahead than someone who's still dealing with the free stuff.
Yeah, no, that's true. So in terms of going forward with the podcasts, and we both introduced ourselves, and like our story is broad, our story is quite unique and real, like coming from Zimbabwe. And you know what? We couldn't mention something as well.
Again.
Like when we were in Zimbabwe, our parents left us in Zimbabwe, not because they didn't love us, but like they came to the UK first to seek greener pasture, to seek better jobs, etc. That's why most people like were in that situation. They ended up being taken to boarding schools. Because there's the boarding school which I was in, so like half of the school, the parents were abroad, and like the kids are just there. So it's just
so everyone could relate to each other.
Yeah, so we could relate, like And I remember when, like, the parents could call, like there was free allocated time for your parents to call you and everyone would be on the phone. So it was like, so that's been like part of our journey, and like us meeting each other, like me being on the business side and Google not being on the business side, but persuading it to say, look, if we're going to do life together, or as in if we're going to take the relationship further, you might as well be involved in business together. So yeah, so in terms of the podcast name, like we haven't actually thought about the podcast name. So yes, we did discuss these videos. I will post it in my YouTube channel. But then in terms of the actual podcast platforms, what do you think of the name?
Still work in progress.
Did you shortlist any?
Yeah, we did, but you just can't give out everything on the first episode. What are we going to do for the rest, the upcoming week?
Oh, in terms of, okay, what do you think? Should we invite guests or just be me and you throughout? What day do you post? Like, when do you come on this podcast? Every Tuesday?
I think every Tuesday sounds good. And to answer your question, I think it would be good every now and then, at least once a month. Obviously, too overwhelming as well. It would be good to have a guest speaker.
It would be good to have a guest speaker. Yeah, why are we doing this?
I think it's just about time where we just let people know our story, our experiences, and we can't do this alone, to be fair. Yeah, I think it's just time for people to know us.
No,
It's especially in this type of business, to be fair. That we can't, like I'm saying, they say, whoever say that, your network is your net worth. So our WhatsApp groups or whatever are not big enough. So I guess the more we're out there, yeah, we can all grow together, grow and learn from each other in a more positive way, hopefully.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think for me, if I can help even one person, wherever you are in the world, to actually just change your perspective of how you view life and add an extra income for you and your family, for me, that's that's my driver for this, like just trying to help someone. Because yes, we did get the mentors in the end. It was now like more on the advanced side, like after just going around and around in like with free information, which wasn't structured. Our aim here is to give you structured information, share our journey. Oh yes, we've gone to the education side. We went to degrees, we got the degrees, because what I see a lot of things on the internet is people like think entrepreneurs need to drop out of school.
No, you don't have.
Entrepreneurs need to drop out of universities, etc. But no, that can actually help you to open the door to the next chapter in your life. So life has got different chapters. Each time you go forward, you can be unlocking a door for each chapter. Because imagine if I didn't go to university and do this engineering degree, I wouldn't have opened a door to learn about project management. I wouldn't have opened the door while I'm doing the project management to actually save up money and get the first property. Because the first property we did, put our heads together, put our finances together, and actually do that.
Yep.
But whereas right now there is information and there are ways which, if we had known that information, we could have done things
differently.
Just before I forget as well, this podcast is sponsored by two companies. One being
Love Your Stays Limited, which is our property business.
Yes, and the other one is Airbnb Mastery Blueprint. This is the education business where we're helping people get their first Airbnb property. So if you like the podcast, there will be more episodes of these coming every Tuesday. And thank you so much for listening to us. Stay tuned. What's your bye message?
Thank you so much for listening. Take care.
See you soon.